terrible thing and it should be stopped. And I don't think that's what you believe.
Right, no, I didn't. That's not what I'm about, though I did know they were looking for one critical voice on the industry. I was chosen to be the industry's critic. And that's fine with me. I mean, that's the way it, that's the way it rolls, but most of the 95%, 99% of my writing on the industry was either critical or laudatory, but was just trying to tell it as it was. And then, on occasion, I do let loose with some opinions.
How are porn people different?
They're the least pretentious group of people that I've ever encountered in my life. You're more likely to get a good interview with someone in the porn industry than almost any other profession. Like, most politicians are boring. I'm sure you've interviewed a lot of politicians, and almost all of them are boring. Most athletes are boring. Most movie stars are so heavily scripted that they're not particularly interesting. But porn people tend to be pretty unpretentious and tend to be more revealing of their lives than almost any other group. And I think the most important distinguishing characteristic of people in the porn industry is that they are people without ties. They are not tied to any sort of community outside of porn. They don't usually have strong family ties. They don't usually have ties, the things that keep people from doing porn.
Are your friends, a lot of your friends, still in the porn industry?
No, I haven't really. I was on friendly terms with many people in the industry, but I haven't kept up one relationship from that time.
They don't reach out to you and want to be friends with you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are people who I've spoken to maybe once or twice in the last year. Like, I quit writing on the industry about a year ago. But it really, if you're going to be in it on an ongoing basis, it makes it harder for you to have normal relationships with people outside of it. It's like I kind of just wanted to cleanse and get away from it all. And so, I mean, the primary reason I was in the industry was to chronicle it, because it was just a trove of such great stories. It wasn't to form lasting relationships. So I did form, some friends. That wasn't what it was primarily about. It was work for me. And when I got out from writing on it, I was relieved and kind of wanted to disinfect my psyche.
Why did they want to pay you $25,000 to buy your site?
Oh, because there's a treasure trove of content on there, and it's very well situated in Google. Google search engine loves quality original content, which much of my website was, and so it gets a tremendous amount of traffic, and someone who is willing to buy it would be then willing to do the things that would monetize that traffic. Like, I was never particularly interested in monetizing my site by getting people to buy pornography. So I just wanted to do my reporting and leave the advertising and the business to other people. And so someone who had less scruples about turning it into a money-making magnet by selling as many porn sites as possible, they could do well with it.
This is TalkRadio1.com. I am Mark Germain. Luke Ford is on the line with me from LukeFord.net. Not to be confused with LukeFord.com, which is still a porn gossip site, or it's a portal for the sale of pornography. How would you describe it now?
I assume it's a porn gossip site, but truthfully, I haven't looked at it in about a year.
Does it bother you that your name is being used to sell pornography? If you're
bother me, yeah, but I mean, that was the choice. I had to sell the site for just Jewish communal reasons in 2001, and so this is the consequence.
What do you mean by Jewish communal reasons?
I got a lot of pressure from my friends in the Jewish community to get rid of it, and so I had to get rid of it, and I wanted to, make some money so that I could go on to my next endeavors, and so I got rid of it.
Are you surprised by the number of Christians in pornography?
No, I'm surprised by the number of Jews in pornography.
Really? Are there more Jews than Christians?
Certainly on the business and also on the male talent end. almost all the leading male performers in the industry have been Jewish.
But I see so many women wearing crosses.
Yeah, I know, which is kind of amusing while they're getting porked.
You don't, you don't.
Yeah. Christianity is something that you can kind of carry in your heart between you and Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so the women who are the people in the porn industry who feel some affinity with Jesus, they're rarely people who are going to church every week.
The Jews that you knew in pornography, were they, none of them were Orthodox Jews, were they?
None of them were Orthodox. None of them had significant ties to the Jewish community.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not an industry that people get into if they have significant ties.
Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself as a journalist?
I see myself as doing journalism at times. So I think that's a smarter distinction to make than whether someone's a journalist or a blogger, but to ask whether the particular piece of writing is journalistic.
Well, there are certain standards that I think we attribute to journalists. That it's a profession.
Really?
You don't see it that way?
Well, yeah, no, I guess you're right in theory, but come on, let's look at the journalism ethical code. It's so complex that it's almost meaningless. For instance, a doctor has a Hippocratic oath where they have a code of ethics in their relationship to their patient, but the journalist has so many conflicting ethical obligations that it renders the idea of a code almost meaningless, because a journalist has moral obligations to their sources, to their readers, to their employers, to their craft, to their subjects. There are just so many different competing ethical obligations that, like Hunter S. Thompson, I think, said that journalism was a walk down a urine-stained back alley.
Do bloggers have any standards by which they should live?
Well, bloggers have no more in common than people who use cell phones. It's just another form of communication technology. But I gave a talk at the LA Times last week, and I said that almost all ethical questions related to blogging or writing or journalism can be answered by a person doing his work under his own name. If you work under your own name, if you then are irresponsible, you're going to pay very severe consequences. So if people simply, put their name on their work, then
who gets drummed out of? When was the last time you heard of someone getting drummed out of journalism? There's a lot. I mean, that we could point. You laughed when I said, journalists have that it's a profession and there's a code of ethics. You laughed, and I sort of agree with the laughter, because the truth is, no one gets kicked out of journalism. No one.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
What about that guy, the kid that was writing for the New York Times, and he was pretending that he was going places and interviewing people?
Jason Blair.
Yeah, Jason Blair, and it was just totally made up. But they didn't kick him out of He may have lost his job at the New York Times, but he got hired somewhere else. He's writing somewhere else. So I mean, no one actually. There are a lot of people that are losing their jobs in journalism, but not because of screwing up.
Exactly. So it's. On the one hand, it's good that American journalists in particular have this very lofty idea of themselves having a profession and a code of ethics. It does make American journalism a little more ethical and upright, and though occasionally pretentious, as opposed to European models for journalism. But it's kind of nice to aspire and to believe in yourself in these lofty ways, but it's also pretentious and pompous. So I mean, you just have to read Tim Rutten in the LA Times to understand what I mean.
Do you go to journalism websites like Poynter?
Yes, every day, religiously, several times a day. I love reading about journalism, even though I hate the word journalism. I think it's a pretentious, phony word. There's reporting, and then there's writing your opinions, but I think journalism is a delusion.
Why were you invited to the LA Times to speak?
Oh, it was an online news association gathering, and they asked me to speak along with Andrew Malcolm, who writes the political blog for the LA Times, and David Viles, who writes the real estate blog for the LA Times, and some other speakers. So I just, I had 5 minutes to